Ryan Walker's hands would not stop shaking. He tried to grip the metal bar in front of him, but his sweaty palms kept slipping. The council chamber was hot and noisy, as creatures of all shapes and sizes muttered in their strange languages. Some looked like giant insects, others like floating crystals, and a few had too many arms to count. "Human Ryan Walker, step forward," boomed a voice that sounded like rocks grinding together. Ryan took a small step forward. His legs felt weak and rubbery. He could feel hundreds of alien eyes staring at him. The judge was made of clear crystals that glowed purple. It floated 3 feet above a dark metal platform. Other crystal beings sat around it, their bodies shimmering with different colors. These were the Kelthans, the oldest race in the council. "You have been found guilty of breaking quarantine protocols around planet Zerion 7, the crystal judge said. Its voice echoed in Ryan's head, even though nothing moved like lips or a mouth. "The punishment for this crime is life imprisonment in the Oblivion Penitentiary." Ryan felt his heart sink to his stomach. He opened his mouth to speak, but no words came out. His throat felt dry and scratchy. "Your Honor," called out a woman's voice. Ryan's military lawyer, Lieutenant Amy Brooks, stood up quickly. Her uniform was neat and pressed, but Ryan could see worry in her eyes. "My client only ended up near Zerion 7 because his ship's navigation system failed. It was an accident, not a crime." The Kelthan judge's crystal body flashed red. "Ignorance of the law is no excuse. The quarantine exists for valid reasons. Zerion 7 houses ancient technology that could destroy countless worlds. Ryan is an engineer," Amy continued. "He can fix things, help people. Putting him in prison helps no one." A tall, spider-like creature with 8 eyes laughed. Its voice sounded like dry leaves being crushed. "Humans always think their skills make them special, but in Oblivion, abilities mean nothing." This was Commander Skrell, one of the prison's administrators. Ryan had seen him before during other court sessions. Skrell seemed to enjoy watching prisoners get sentenced. "The Oblivion Penitentiary has contained criminals for 10,000 cycles," Skrell announced proudly. "We have held beings that can bend space, control fire, or read minds. None have ever escaped, not one." Ryan looked at Amy, hoping she had more to say, but she just looked down at her notes and shook her head slightly. He glanced at the back of the room where Claire Johnson sat. She worked at the Earth Embassy and had visited him in jail many times. Their eyes met, and she mouthed, "I'm sorry." The crystal judge raised one of its pointed arms. "The sentence is final. Ryan Walker will be transported to Oblivion immediately." 2 large robots rolled forward on tank treads. They had metal arms ending in claw-like grips. Their round heads held a single red eye that scanned Ryan up and down. "Wait!" Ryan finally found his voice, though it cracked. "Can't I at least say goodbye to my family? Write them a message?" "Communication rights are suspended," Skrell said, clicking his mandibles together in what might have been a smile. "You belong to Oblivion now." Amy tried to reach Ryan as the robots grabbed his arms, but a force field stopped her. "I'll keep fighting this," she called out. "I'll find a way to appeal." But Ryan knew better. In the year since Earth had joined the Council, they had learned hard lessons. The alien justice system was not like Earth's. There were no second chances, no appeals that meant anything. The robots dragged him toward a door he had not noticed before. It was perfectly round and made of metal that shifted colors like oil on water. As they got closer, the door hissed open, revealing a bright white tunnel beyond. "Remember, human," Skrell called after him. "Oblivion is the end. Accept it, and your life might be bearable. Fight it, and you will only suffer more." Ryan stumbled as the robots pulled him into the tunnel. The door closed behind them with a sound like thunder. The walls around him glowed bright enough to hurt his eyes. His last thought before everything turned white was of his parents back on Earth. Would they ever know what happened to him? The transport tunnel felt like falling through cold honey. Ryan could not move anything except his eyes. Time seemed to stretch and shrink at the same time. He might have been traveling for seconds or hours. There was no way to tell. When the white light finally faded, Ryan found himself in a gray room. The robots released his arms and rolled backward through a door that appeared in the wall. Another door on the opposite side opened, and Ryan could see stars through a window. "Welcome to your new home," said a voice behind him. Ryan spun around to see a tall humanoid creature with blue skin and 4 arms. It wore a dark uniform with symbols Ryan could not read. "I am Guard Captain Nexus. You will follow me to processing." Processing meant having his clothes taken away and replaced with a gray jumpsuit. They scanned his body with lights that tickled and burned at the same time. They took his hair and blood samples. They recorded his voice saying numbers in Earth languages. "Your fingers," Nexus commanded, holding out a metal pad. Ryan pressed his hands down and green lights traced his fingerprints. "Now your eyes." A device scanned his retinas with a beam that made him blink and tear up. "What happens now?" Ryan asked as they finished. "Now you learn the rules," Nexus said. "Listen carefully, I will only explain once." They walked down corridors that curved in ways that made Ryan feel dizzy. The walls were dark metal covered in alien symbols that glowed, faintly blue. Through windows, Ryan could see the prison's true nature. It floated in empty space far from any star or planet. There was nothing around it but blackness. "Rule 1. You will work," Nexus began. "Everyone works in Oblivion. In the mines, in the kitchens, in maintenance. Refuse to work, and you will be punished. Rule 2. You will follow schedule. Wake time, meal time, work time, sleep time. These are not flexible. Rule 3. No fighting. Oblivion has inmates from 300 different species. We maintain order through zero tolerance." They stopped at a large door marked with red symbols. Rule 4. Sector restrictions. You are level 3 security. These areas, Nexus pointed to his chest symbol, are forbidden to you. Rule 5. No technology, no devices, no tools outside of work. The void field here disrupts most technology anyway, but we take no chances. Ryan's head spun trying to remember everything. What happens if someone breaks these rules? Nexus's 4 arms moved in a gesture Ryan could not understand. "We have many ways to punish. Isolation cells that block all light and sound, neural disruptors that cause pain without damage, work detail extensions. Trust me, human, you do not want to test our methods." They entered a new section. The air smelled different here, more organic and less sterile. "The cell blocks," Nexus announced. "You will share a cell with 3 others. They will teach you how to survive here." They stopped at a cell and the door hissed open. 3 figures looked up from beds attached to the walls. One was clearly human, a big man with tattoos covering his arms. Another looked like a gray alien from old Earth movies, but taller. The third was harder to describe, with skin that seemed to shift between solid and liquid. "New cellmate," Nexus said. "Make him understand our ways." The human stood up and walked over. He was built like a wrestler with broad shoulders and large hands. "I'm Paul Martinez. You can call me Paul." "Ryan Walker." Paul turned to the others. "This is Lisa Morrison and Greg Peterson." The gray alien gave a small wave. The shifting one just stared. Nexus left without another word. The cell door closed, and suddenly Ryan was alone with his new cellmates in a space barely larger than a small bedroom. "First day in Oblivion?" Paul asked. Ryan nodded. "Then you need to know the real rules, the ones Nexus didn't tell you about." "There are more rules?" Lisa spoke up. Her voice was soft but clear. "Unofficial ones. Like, don't trust the guards. To be fair, don't get involved in alien politics, and most important, don't try to escape. Has anyone ever tried?" "Dozens," Greg said. His voice was strange, changing pitch like he was using multiple vocal cords. "The smarter ones planned, for years, built devices, found weaknesses, all failed. Why?" Paul sat down on his bed. "Because the aliens thought of everything. They've been building prisons for thousands of years. They know every trick, every possible way out, and they love to remind us of it. So we just give up." Ryan felt anger replacing his fear. "Just accept being locked away forever?" "That's survival," Lisa said. "This isn't Earth prison. There are no lawyers coming to help, no guards to bribe, no system you can game. Oblivion is designed to be perfect. Ryan sat on the empty bed. The mattress was thin and hard. He looked at his hands, still shaking slightly. Everything about this place was meant to break hope. "You'll learn," Paul said kindly. "The first month is hardest, but you find ways to cope. Maybe you'll even help some other new fish when they arrive." "What did you do?" Ryan asked. "To end up here?" "Smuggling," Paul answered simply. "Got caught with cargo I shouldn't have had." "Data theft," Lisa added. Greg just shook his head. "I prefer not to discuss it." Ryan nodded. Privacy was probably important in a shared cell. He looked around at the bare metal walls. There were no decorations, no personal items, just beds, a toilet unit, and a small table. "Lights out in 30 minutes, Paul warned. "Tomorrow your real education begins. You'll see just how impossible escape really is." As Ryan lay on his hard bed, staring at the metal ceiling, one thought kept repeating in his mind. The aliens said no one had ever escaped, but they had never dealt with human stubbornness before. The alarm screeched like dying metal. Ryan's eyes snapped open to harsh red lights flashing in his cell. He had not slept at all during the night, just stared at the ceiling, listening to the prison's strange sounds. "Move!" A voice boomed through a speaker. "All inmates to workstations." Paul was already jumping off his bed, moving fast despite his size. Lisa and Greg followed just as quickly. They pulled on gray boots and grabbed meal cards from the wall. "Come on, new fish," Paul said, tossing Ryan a pair of boots. "You get 3 minutes before the guards come." Ryan's fingers fumbled with the boots. They were too big and felt heavy on his feet. "Where are we going?" "Mess hall first," Lisa answered. "Then work assignments. Stay close and don't look at any guards." They joined hundreds of other inmates crowding into the corridors. The mass of bodies pressed against Ryan from all sides. He saw creatures he could not even imagine existed. Being made of living metal. Insect people with too many legs. Things that floated and things that crawled. The mess hall was enormous, with tables arranged in perfect rows. Large windows showed the endless space outside. Ryan followed his cellmates to a food dispenser. It scanned their cards and dropped gray mush into metal bowls. "What is this?" Ryan asked, poking at the substance. "Nutrient paste," Greg explained. "Contains everything we need to survive. Tastes like nothing." Ryan took a small bite. Greg was right. It was like eating wet cardboard, but his stomach growled loudly, so he forced himself to finish. At the table, Paul leaned in and spoke quietly. "See that structure floating outside? The one with the blue lights?" Ryan looked through the window. A massive tower of metal and energy fields orbited the prison. Blue electricity crawled across its surface like spiders. "That's what keeps us here," Paul continued. "The void field generator. It stops any ship from jumping to hyperdrive. Blocks all communications. And best part, it messes with any powers or abilities the inmates might have." "Powers?" Lisa nodded. "You'll meet them. The Kelthans can manipulate gravity. Vulnar species can create fire with their minds. Cridians can phase through walls. But in here, everything stops working." "So we're all equal?" "Equal in helplessness," Greg added. A tall insect creature approached their table. Ryan recognized Commander Skrell from the trial. Other inmates quickly looked away or focused on their food. "Human," Skrell clicked his mandibles. "You begin training today. Processing Sector A. Do not be late." The spider-like being moved to another table. Ryan noticed several inmates quickly, changing seats, creating distance between themselves and the commander. "He does that," Lisa whispered. "Inspects breakfast every day. Finds reasons to punish people." "What's processing Sector A?" "You'll see." After breakfast, the guards separated inmates into work groups. Ryan was marched with 10 others to an area filled with massive machinery. The air smelled sharp and chemical. Large tanks lined the walls, connected by pipes and cables. "Waste reclamation," announced their supervisor, a humanoid with smooth green skin. "We process all biological waste into usable materials. Water, air filters, nutrients." Ryan's stomach turned. They were recycling sewage. But he understood the necessity. In space, nothing could be wasted. The supervisor, who introduced himself as Foreman Kess, showed them the basic operations. Those tanks break down organic matter. These pipes transport the materials. These control panels monitor the process. Ryan paid careful attention. The machinery was old but well maintained. He noticed various makes and models, some clearly human in design. During his first break, he asked about this. Oblivion was built over many years, Kess explained. Parts come from many worlds. Earth sells mining equipment to the Council. So some of this is from my home? Yes. Simple technology. Reliable. We use it for basic tasks. Ryan felt strange seeing Earth machines in this place. It was like finding a piece of home in a nightmare. The work was hard but not complicated. They cleaned filters, checked pressure gauges, and moved processed materials. Ryan worked alongside creatures who could have been his enemies in war, but here they were all prisoners together. During lunch, break. They ate more gray paste while sitting on benches near the machines. A large, scaly creature sat next to Ryan. Its head was reptilian, with 4 eyes that blinked sideways. I am Korath, it said in heavily accented English. I watch. You work, you know machines. I'm an engineer, used to fix starships. Engineer good. Oblivion always need repairs. Maybe you survive longer than most humans. What do you mean? Korath made a sound like gravel in a bucket. It might have been laughing. Humans not strong. Break easy. Many. Species here much stronger. But you clever sometimes figure things out. What about escape? Has anyone come close? Korath's eyes narrowed. Do not think such things. Guards hear everything. See everything. 2 cycles ago, Tarnian tried escape. Smart being. Studied prison for years. Found weakness in airlock system. What happened? Guards knew before attempt. They always know. Tarnian put in isolation. Still there, maybe. Hard to know. After lunch, Ryan learned more about the prison's systems. Their sector connected to other processing areas. Materials moved through pipes to the kitchens, hydroponics, and life support. Everything recycled, nothing wasted. During afternoon shift, alarms suddenly blared. Red lights flashed as heavy doors slammed down. Ryan and his team froze. Lockdown, Kess shouted. Emergency protocol, stop all work. What's happening? Ryan asked. Shuttle arriving, Kess replied. All movement stops during arrival, security procedure. Through a small window, Ryan saw a ship approaching. It was sleek and fast, unlike anything he had seen before. Guards lined the corridors, weapons ready. The landing took an hour. When green lights finally replaced red, work resumed. Who was on the shuttle? Ryan asked as they returned to their stations. New prisoners probably, said another inmate, a large humanoid with fur. Or maybe council inspectors. The council checks on this place? Once every cycle, Kess answered. They confirm we follow regulations, prevent abuse. Ryan wanted to laugh. This entire prison was abuse, but he kept quiet and returned to work. Near the end of his shift, Ryan noticed something interesting. One control panel had an access port similar to Earth computing systems. He had seen such ports before in his engineering work. While cleaning nearby filters, he observed the panel more carefully. It connected to the processing system's main controls. Someone with the right knowledge could access diagnostics, maybe, even partial system control. Walker, Kess called. Next shift coming, return to cell now. Ryan filed the information away. It might mean nothing, but his engineering mind could not ignore potential weaknesses. Back in their cell that evening, his roommates asked about his first day. It's hard, Ryan admitted, but I understand the systems better now. Good, Paul said. Understanding helps you survive. But don't get clever ideas, the aliens aren't stupid. I know, Ryan agreed, but part of him wondered how well they really understood human thinking. Tomorrow you meet more inmates, Lisa explained. Recreation yard is mandatory twice a week. You'll see how the social structure works. Recreation? Exercise time, Greg clarified. Large area where different species can move around, make connections, or make enemies. Is it dangerous? Can be, Paul admitted. Stick with us at first, learn who to avoid. There are gangs, territory issues, old racial conflicts. Even in prison? Especially in prison, Lisa said. When you take away everything else, hate is what some beings cling to. Ryan lay on his bed that night processing his first day. The prison seemed designed down to the smallest detail. Every system had backups. Every possible escape route was blocked. The void field destroyed most technology. Guards watched constantly. Yet Ryan kept thinking about the control panel, about the pipes and systems that kept everyone alive. Nothing was perfect. Everything had weaknesses. His engineering training had taught him to see problems as puzzles. And this prison was the biggest puzzle he had ever faced. Outside his window, the void field generator hummed with blue energy. It looked beautiful and terrifying at the same time. Hey, Paul, Ryan whispered. Yeah? Those humans who failed to escape. What did they try? Paul sighed in the darkness. Why does it matter? Just curious. They tried everything. Building ships, hacking systems, breaking void field. Even joining crew during shuttle visits all failed. How? Like Korath said, guards always know. Some say they have mind readers. Others think the prison itself is alive. All I know is, every attempt ends the same way. With someone in isolation? Or worse. Ryan closed his eyes. Maybe his cellmates were right. Maybe thinking about escape was just false hope that would destroy him. But deep down, a small voice asked, had anyone tried thinking differently? Had anyone approached escape like an engineer solves a problem? In the darkness of his cell, Ryan's mind began to work. The recreation yard was bigger than Ryan expected. It was shaped like a giant dome with metal floors marked into different zones. The ceiling showed stars through layers of force fields. Hundreds of inmates were scattered across the space, some exercising, others sitting in groups. Stay with us, Paul warned as they entered. Different areas belonged to different groups. Ryan noticed the invisible boundaries immediately. Insectoid species gathered in one corner. Crystal beings floated near the left wall. Larger predator types claimed the center area. Where do the humans gather? Ryan asked. Nowhere special, Lisa answered. We mix a bit. Small numbers help. Nobody sees us as a threat. They found a bench near the human sector wall. From there, Ryan could watch without drawing attention. His engineering mind noted paths, distances, and patrol patterns. 2 guards stood at each major entrance. More walked the perimeter. Their weapons stayed on stun, but alarms would summon lethal response quickly. Hey, Walker. Ryan turned to see a human woman approaching. She was thin with close-cropped red hair. Her gray uniform had serial numbers indicating longer imprisonment. I'm Kelly Thompson, she said. Heard we got a new engineer. News travels fast here, Ryan replied. Kelly smiled. Information is currency in Oblivion. Mind if I sit? Ryan made room on the bench. Kelly sat and immediately started talking. Real. Engineer or just handy with tools? Real. Starship systems primarily. Useful. Kelly nodded. She glanced around before leaning closer. Anyone tell you about the black market yet? The what? Paul jumped in. Watch what you say, Kelly. He should know, Kelly insisted. Information protection only goes so far. She explained how inmates traded favors, knowledge, and occasional contraband. Better food, extra time and recreation, small comforts that made life bearable. Trading is against rules, Greg reminded them. Everything's against rules, Kelly shrugged. But guards let small things slide, keeps us manageable. Ryan understood. A little freedom prevented rebellion. Standard prison management across species, apparently. See that group? Kelly pointed to a cluster of 6 humans near the center. That's Nick Anderson's crew, former salvage operator, 20 years in Oblivion. Knows every system here better than the guards. Salvage? Unauthorized recovery operations. Picked clean some important wrecks. Council doesn't like competition for old tech. Ryan studied Nick's group. They moved with confidence, taking up space without backing down. Other inmates kept respectful distance. Nick might talk to you, Kelly continued. Engineers are always useful. For what? Repairs the guards miss. System work they can't admit needs fixing. Nice might give you access to places, see things. Paul grabbed Kelly's arm. Stop recruiting. First month, remember? Relax, Paul. Kid's sharp, he'll figure it out anyway. The conversation ended when alarms chimed. Random search time, guard patrols doubled and started checking inmates. Anyone suspicious faced full scanning. Ryan watched how people reacted. Most stayed calm, used to searches, but some tensed, acting, guilty before guards arrived. Monthly contraband sweep, Lisa whispered. Usually someone planted something. Guards staged drama to keep us scared. Ryan noticed something else. Guards moved in patterns, like a dance they practiced daily. They left gaps, created moments where someone could slip by, if someone was stupid enough to try. A commotion erupted by the insectoid area. Guards surrounded a tall being made of orange crystal. They found something hidden in its body crevice, probably real contraband this time. See what happens now? Greg advised. The crystal being was led away. Within minutes, guards returned with isolation unit coordinates. Even from distance, Ryan could see the small metal box barely larger than a coffin. 2 days in there, Paul explained. No movement, no sound except your heartbeat drives most insane. For hiding what? Could be anything. Tool part, stolen food, data crystal. Ryan noted how quickly order restored. The guard's efficiency was impressive and terrifying. Still, his mind cataloged everything. Patrol gaps, hidden spaces where contraband could exist, speed of response to emergencies. After 3 months of this routine, Ryan discovered more about Oblivion's systems. Working and processing gave him access to maintenance areas. He started memorizing pipe layouts, electrical conduits, and backup systems. Every system had redundancies, but redundancies meant complexity. During one late shift, alone in a storage closet organizing filters, Ryan found his first real discovery. Behind a panel marked Authorized Personnel Only, he saw Earth-standard electrical components. Someone had done a cheap retrofit using human wiring when the alien parts failed. Ryan counted junction boxes and traced connections. His fingers knew these systems from countless Starship repairs. Earth, 220-volt, copper wire, basic circuit protection, simple technology the aliens considered primitive. This was important. The void field disrupted alien technology, but it had to allow basic electrical function for life support. These simple Earth systems might be invisible to alien scanners. That weekend in recreation, he approached Nick Anderson's group. The leader was tall and lean, with a face that had seen too many fights. New engineer, Nick assessed him. Walker, right? You know about me? Know about everyone. Information keeps you alive. Nick gestured to his crew. Kate here works hydroponics. Danny handles ventilation. Mike knows the guard schedules better than the guards. Nice to meet you all. Kelly speaks highly of your skills. Nick continued. We occasionally need technical expertise. Standard prison maintenance. Fixing what the aliens pretend works fine. Ryan understood the double meaning. They were involved in the black market, needed someone who understood complex systems. I'm willing to help, Ryan said carefully. Within reason. Nick smiled. Everyone has limits. We respect that. For now, let's say you help with legitimate repairs. We repay with information, protection, and occasional luxuries. The arrangement started small. During off hours, Ryan helped fix personal items, a communication unit that stopped working, environmental controls in cells. He learned which guards could be bribed with small favors. Interesting thing about your Earth technology, Nick mentioned during one repair session. Aliens upgraded most systems when they built this place. except certain basic infrastructure. Meaning, they mock our primitive tech, but sometimes primitive works where fancy fails, like how your vinyl records still play when digital fails. Ryan worked harder than anyone expected. Guards noticed him fixing problems they didn't know existed. Slowly, they began trusting him with deeper access. 3 months in, Ryan made his critical observation. In the main power distribution room, which he helped repair after a minor overload, he found the heart of Oblivion systems. Alien quantum processors ran everything: energy shields, life support, communications blocking. But beneath the quantum level, electrical power came through standard distribution. Ryan sketched diagrams in his cell at night. Power flowed from the void field generator through quantum converters down to physical cables. The aliens isolated systems so well, but electricity remained electricity. Ryan, Lisa watched him working one night. You're obsessing, it's not healthy. Just trying to understand how things work. We all try at first, Paul added. Then reality sets in. Some prisons you can beat. Not this one. But Ryan had noticed something the aliens hadn't considered. Quantum systems required perfect isolation. Any electromagnetic disturbance could cause cascading failures. Human technology created exactly that kind of disturbance. The prison's designers assumed no one would dare manipulate power infrastructure. Any attempt would trigger immediate alarms, but alarms needed electricity too. Hey Nick, Ryan approached him during next recreation. Hypothetically, what's the most risky engineering project someone could attempt here? Nick's eyes sharpened. Avoid risk keeps you breathing. Just curious about theoretical limits. Nick studied him for a long moment. Then he made a small gesture to his crew. They moved to create privacy wall. Theoretically, Nick said very quietly, the riskiest project would involve power systems, main grid manipulation. But that's suicide. Why? Triple redundancy, monitor systems, quantum sensors detecting any disruption, guards stationed at vital points 24/7. All powered by the same electricity they're monitoring? Nick paused. Interesting philosophical question, but theory doesn't survive alien technology. That night, Ryan dreamed of circuits and power flows. He woke knowing something profound but couldn't quite grasp it. 6 months into his sentence, Ryan had friends, a role, and understanding of systems. Guards knew him as the helpful human who fixed things. Inmates respected his technical skills. He had found purpose within the prison walls, yet knowledge itched like an infection. The more he learned, the more he wanted to test boundaries. His mind built scenarios, played with possibilities. Paul was right to worry. Curiosity could be deadly in Oblivion. But Ryan couldn't stop thinking about power distribution, about Earth technology hidden in alien systems, about engineers across the galaxy who assumed perfection. Oblivion was perfect. But perfection meant no room for the unexpected, and humans specialized in the unexpected. 8 months into his sentence, Ryan finally revealed his discovery to Nick's crew. They met in a maintenance corridor during shift change, when guards took longer meal breaks. You're crazy, Nick whispered after Ryan explained his theory. You want to create an electromagnetic pulse using Earth wiring to disrupt quantum sensors? Not just disrupt. Blind them temporarily, Ryan corrected. Long enough to affect other systems. The void field would still work, Kate argued. Ships can't escape even during power fluctuations. Not if the pulse affects its quantum stabilization, Ryan grinned. This was the part that excited him most. Quantum computers hate electrical interference. Make them hiccup, they reset to safe parameters. And safe parameters would be 0 output for 17 seconds. Standard safety timer to prevent damage. Nick paced the corridor. 17 seconds isn't time to escape. No, but 17 seconds of no monitoring is time to access systems, plant more disturbances, create chain reaction. Danny, who usually stayed quiet, spoke up. You'd need components, special ones. Guards log every piece of tech. Ryan had thought about this. We use old Earth components already in the walls. Basic resistors, capacitors, wire. Nothing monitored because aliens think it's useless. How do we build it without being caught? During maintenance shifts, each team member works on part. No single person has complete device. For 2 weeks, they gathered materials. Ryan taught them what to look for. A failed light fixture here. Damaged environmental controls there. Slowly, components accumulated. Mike handled timing. He memorized every guard rotation, meal schedule, and inspection routine. They needed perfect timing to avoid detection. Building happened in stages. Kate grew skilled at creating circuit boards and hydroponics, hiding them among plant trays. Danny turned ventilation maintenance into an excuse to run wiring. Ryan assembled pieces during late-night processing shifts. The device took shape over 3 months. Hidden across different locations, its parts looked innocent. They tested small segments first. A tiny pulse in Danny's quarters that didn't trigger. Alarms. A larger one in abandoned storage that guards marked as environmental anomaly. We need more people, Nick decided after successful tests. Other humans first. Ones we trust. They recruited carefully. Paul eventually agreed to help, though he thought they were doomed. Lisa refused, but promised silence. Greg remained neutral. Remember the goal, Ryan stressed repeatedly. Not just escape. Liberation. For who? Kate asked. Everyone willing to try. The plan grew complex. During recreation time, they identified allies among other species. A few Kelthans whose crystal bodies could conduct signals. Insectoids skilled at small space navigation. Beings whose natural abilities might work during the quantum disruption. We create a diversion first, Ryan explained to the growing group. Fight in mess hall, draw guards. While systems are distracted, we hit 3 pulse points simultaneously. Then what? Someone asked. Chaos. We prepared for chaos. Groups have different objectives. Maintenance team secures shuttle bay. Communication team takes control room. We overwhelm before they organize. The night came 6 months after Ryan first conceived the plan. Tension ran through the human population and select allies. They had one chance. It started with breakfast. Paul, as planned, picked a fight with Lisa over food portions. It looked convincing because Paul genuinely worried about the plan failing. Guards rushed to stop them. Their response numbers were exactly as Mike predicted. During the commotion, Ryan and Nick slipped away. Pulse 1, go! Ryan signaled through stolen comm device. In hydroponics, Kate activated the first electromagnetic burst. Quantum sensors nearest that sector flickered. Pulse 2. Danny triggered a larger discharge from ventilation access. More systems began experiencing errors. Ryan and Nick reached main power distribution. Pulse 3, now! Ryan's main device was hidden behind a service panel. He connected the final wire. The electromagnetic pulse hit like thunder. Every screen in the corridor went dark. Emergency. Light struggled to activate. Quantum disruption confirmed. Someone reported over comms. For exactly 17 seconds, quantum sensors failed. The void field generator, confused by interruption, began its reset sequence. Those 17 seconds felt like hours. Suddenly, screens returned. But now many showed errors. The quantum systems were trying to recalibrate, running diagnostics. Move. Move, move, Nick ordered into his comm. Alarms eventually started blaring, but guards faced multiple crises. Across the prison, coordinated disruptions kept them confused. What's happening in Sector 7? Guards shouted to each other. Power fluctuations in processing. Shuttle bay reports unauthorized access. The quantum sensors, designed to prevent exactly this kind of attack, now struggled to identify real threats versus the cascading errors. Ryan's team fought their way to Shuttle Bay. They encountered Zethkar, the battle-hardened guard commander. His multiple limbs swung weapons that sparked against metal walls. You think you can beat Oblivion? Zethkar roared. Ryan didn't waste energy replying. Mike threw a makeshift flashbang device, another Earth-style tool the aliens underestimated. While Zethkar's multiple eyes adjusted to the bright light, others rushed past. The shuttle bay held 3 mining vessels, basic ships designed for asteroid work. They featured standard engines unaffected by Ryan's electromagnetic tricks. Start all three, Ryan commanded. We fly in formation to confuse targeting. Across the prison, friendly inmates fought to reach Shuttle Bay, but guards recovered from initial confusion. Commander Skrell's voice boomed through intercoms. Lockdown. Protocol, activate containment systems. Oh, he's bringing back quantum control, Kate warned. We're not ready. Nick grabbed Ryan's arm. Ships need 5 more minutes for startup. Ryan thought fast. Paul, Lisa, create bigger distraction. Set off every alarm you can. At Shuttle Bay or elsewhere. Make them think we're still inside. Paul led a team deeper into prison, triggering emergency systems. Alerts about fires, air leaks, and containment breaches flooded guard communication. Multiple security alerts. Which ones are real? I can't tell. Quantum sensors still. Recalibrating, the confusion bought time. Ryan worked on shuttles, updating navigation with Nick. The vessels were old, using basic programming even humans could understand. Launch sequence ready, Danny reported. Who's flying? I am, said Nick. Mike takes second ship, Kate on third. Ryan started to protest, but Nick cut him off. You created this, you deserve to go, I'll hold them off, launch when ready. Nick, no arguments. Oblivion kept us here for years, now it's our turn to leave. The shuttle bay doors opened to space. Stars waited beyond. The void field generator hummed as it struggled to re-establish full power. All aboard, Ryan shouted. Inmates scrambled into ships. 43 beings from different worlds, united by desire for freedom. Engines started. The shuttle bay trembled as anti-gravity systems engaged. Go, Nick commanded. 3 ships burst from oblivion, accelerating hard. The void field tried to grab them but couldn't establish proper containment. Behind them, Skrell's voice screamed. Orders. Activate manual override, stop them. But the commander faced too many crises. Emergency alarms still blared. Quantum systems showed conflicting data. Ryan watched through viewport as oblivion shrank. The massive prison fortress that seemed eternal now looked vulnerable. They'll follow, someone warned. Let them try, Ryan replied. We have head start, and we know something they don't. What's that? Human engineering doesn't always follow alien logic. Sometimes simple solutions beat complex ones. The 3 ships entered hyperspace, leaving oblivion behind. They hadn't beaten the prison with superior technology or overwhelming force. They succeeded because someone saw patterns others missed, found weaknesses in what seemed perfect. Days later, in deep space, the escaped inmates parted ways. Some headed to friendly systems that didn't extradite. Others joined the Outer Rim trading circles. Ryan's group chose independent status, forming a cooperative. They sent a message to the Galactic Council, encrypted but untraceable. This is Ryan Walker speaking for the Oblivion escape survivors. We broke your perfect prison. Why? Because you assumed our technology was inferior. Our thinking was limited. But humans solve problems differently. We find weaknesses you don't see. Consider this a lesson in humility, and maybe treat your next human engineer with more respect. The message spread quickly through space news networks. Somewhere in a distant prison, guards might learn to appreciate human ingenuity, or they might just improve their systems. But for now, 43 beings were free, and the galaxy had learned something new about Earth's children. The Galactic Council chamber buzzed with angry voices. 27 different species shouted in their own languages while translation devices struggled to keep up. At the center of the crystal platform, Chief Arbitrator Vorn Keth stood silent, glowing purple with embarrassment. "This is impossible," shouted Ambassador Krex of the Vulner Collective. His fire-colored scales rippled with anger. How did primitive beings escape our most secure facility? The human engineer manipulated Earth technology, Vorn Keth admitted. Components we considered too simple to monitor. Excuses, spat another ambassador. Oblivion has stood for 10,000 cycles. One human should not. A smooth voice interrupted. Ambassador Charlotte Bennett from Earth stood up slowly. She was petite compared to most species in the chamber, but her presence filled the room. Perhaps, Charlotte said calmly, the council was so busy laughing at our primitive ways that you forgot an important truth. Every technology, no matter how simple, has its purpose. The chamber fell quiet. Charlotte continued. Ryan Walker used basic electrical engineering, the same principles that build simple circuits on Earth power complex systems everywhere, even here in your quantum computers. Vorn Keth's crystal body dimmed. You underestimated respect, Charlotte corrected. You saw us as too simple to be dangerous, too backward to be clever, and that blind spot cost you a perfect prison record. Ambassador Krex slammed his clawed fist on his desk. That prison held beings who could move planets, bend space, control minds, and a human with wires defeats it? The human saw your weakness, Charlotte explained patiently. Complex doesn't always mean better. Sometimes simple tools in clever hands beat advanced technology. Enough philosophy, growled Commander Grex, the Xin representative. Where are the escapees now? Beyond our jurisdiction, came the response from Intelligence Director Sen. They scattered across neutral space zones. The mining ships were stripped and sold for parts. Inmates blend into local populations. Find them. With what resources? They understand our tracking methods better than we expected. The human, Walker, leaves false signals everywhere. 6 weeks passed. The Council spent millions of credits upgrading Oblivion's security. New sensors, backup systems, quantum shielding. They installed everything imaginable. Meanwhile, reports came from traders and merchants across the frontier. A cooperative of mixed species was offering repair services at mining stations. They fixed everything from ships to terraforming equipment, and they were very good. These mechanics, a trader told authorities, they understand all technologies, not just one species advances. They think differently. The Council hired private investigators. They needed to know how the escape really happened, every detail, every component, every technique. 3 months later, the investigators' report shocked everyone. The human didn't defeat the prison, they concluded. He used what was already there, Earth electrical components in alien infrastructure, basic physics principles that work regardless of species, standard circuit theory. Your systems were designed perfectly, except you ignored simple foundations. New security procedures followed. Every Earth standard component would be replaced. All human electrical systems removed. Even simple light switches got exotic alternatives, but then strange reports appeared. Mining accidents decreased near human settlements. Power failures happened less often. Equipment lasted longer. Simple human solutions worked when alien repairs failed. Why do we rely on them now? Some council members asked. Because, explained the Maintenance Guild representative, while they cannot match our quantum achievements, they understand basic principles we forget. We use tools. They understand tools. 6 months after the escape, the Galactic Council faced a new crisis. Pirates had stolen shipment of advanced weapons. They used tactics no one expected, combined alien tech with human modifications. They're mixing technologies, advisors warned, taking our advances and human basics together. We created this, Vorn Keth finally admitted. By dismissing humanity, we forced them to be more creative. The escaped inmates, now free traders, and merchants, sent occasional updates through neutral channels. Their cooperative expanded. Some returned to Earth. Others settled on frontier worlds. All carried the lesson they learned. Survival means understanding everything available. Ryan Zhou wrote in his final message to the Council, not just using what you think is best. The message contained blueprints, not weapons or secret technology, just improved designs for power distribution, life support systems, and basic equipment. Solutions using combined knowledge from multiple species. We don't seek revenge, Ryan continued. We offer partnership. Your quantum computers with our circuit design. Your energy shields with our power management. Your advanced thinking with our practical approach. Some council members wanted to reject everything human-related. Others saw opportunity. The universe was big. Having allies with different perspectives could only help. In the end, humanity earned begrudging respect. Not for matching alien advancements, but for seeing value where others saw worthlessness. For turning disadvantages into advantages. And Oblivion? The escape-proof prison still operated, but now it housed new safety protocols. Human-designed backup systems ran alongside alien technology. Guards learned Earth engineering basics. Chief, Arbitrator Vorn Keth retired, replaced by someone younger, but not before issuing an official statement. We must reevaluate our understanding of intelligence. The most advanced being is not always the most powerful. Sometimes, it is the most adaptable. Ryan Walker became something of a legend, not for breaking an unbreakable prison, but for proving that every species had valuable knowledge. His methods spread across the frontier. Earth's status in the galaxy changed too. No longer just newcomers with primitive tech. Now they were consultants who could solve problems others missed. Their simple tools fixed complex issues. And sometimes, when new species joined the council, veterans would share the story of oblivion. How perfect design could have perfect flaws. How arrogance created opportunities. In deep space stations and remote colonies, beings from dozens of worlds worked together. They mixed technologies freely. Quantum processors powered by human-designed circuits. Alien matter manipulation guided by Earth engineering math. The escape from oblivion became a teaching moment, not about defeating prisons, but about opening minds. About seeing that different didn't mean better or worse, just different. Years later, former inmates still met occasionally. They shared stories of their freedom, laughed about the council's embarrassment, discussed new projects combining all their knowledge. And sometimes when ships passed through deep space near where oblivion floated, sensors would detect a blip. A momentary disruption in the void field. Nothing dangerous. Just a reminder that all systems had weaknesses. Weakness that clever beings could find, and clever beings could exploit. After all, that was the human way. The galaxy was learning to accept this truth. Slowly, perhaps, but certainly. And in accepting, the universe became a bit more interesting, a bit more creative, a bit more free.